First, I am shocked by the damage that West Australian Premier Mark McGowan is doing to us over in China on his 5-day tour. His first day was bad enough, like I said last night, but today, McGowan topped even that effort. And one of America's top generals, a man reviewing the defence policies of the US President, Joe Biden, for Congress, he now says he's appalled by McGowan's dangerous naivety. I'll talk to him in a second. As I said last night, McGowan disgraced himself on Tuesday in China when he publicly bagged Liberal MPs back home, particularly Andrew Hastie, for warning that this aggressive communist dictatorship was a threat. But McGowan has since doubled down. And get this, he says he even wants our national cabinet to meet in China this year. He said Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is probably visiting China in the next 6 months to meet China's dictator. And one of the things Albanese could do is bring all our premiers and chief ministers with him. To that, I said, what have you been smoking over there? Bring all our political leaders to China to grovel to the dictatorship? What patriot would propose something so humiliating, something that projects so much weakness? You think. China right now is considering whether to arm Russia to fight in Ukraine in what is in fact the first battle of World War III. And then whether to invade democratic Taiwan itself. And here is an Australian Premier in China signalling that we are weak, we're divided, that he thinks we should stay out of any fight with China, that we're, well, giving the impression that we're not even likely to resist whatever China does. How stupid is that? That's inviting trouble, because dictatorships prey on weakness. In fact, some might even call it treasonous. And if you think I'm too harsh, then you just look at how this dictatorship's media is gloating today over McGowan. Its Global Times quotes McGowan bagging Australians back home who warn of a possible war with China. And those people, by the way, actually include the Albanese government itself. And McGowan told the Chinese they are dangerous and inflammatory sentiments to talk about war. Dangerous and inflammatory that these people were promoting. But the Global Times says, well, that's great. You know, it loves McGowan crawling to us for trade, loves this stuff about, you know, not picking, not trying to take away trade with China and be more self-sufficient. It says actually a bit more is needed from Labor. A bit more. It says experts say obstacles remain for our bilateral ties with China, such as the US meddling and the so-called AUKUS nuclear submarine pact that Australia signed to defend itself, and Canberra needs to drop its hostile approach. So please, McGowan, you've got to crawl a little more. That's what they're telling McGowan. And I don't mind betting that he will. What that man won't do for a little bit of that Chinese gold, that lovely trade. So far, though, the Albanese government is at least holding the line on China. In fact, former Labor Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, who probably knows a little bit more about China than McGowan, today presented his credentials as our new ambassador to Washington to US President Joe Biden and said one of the big reasons he was there was the China threat.
One of the reasons the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister asked me to come here was to deal with the challenge we all face, with the challenge presented by China's rise and maintaining strategic stability, doing so in partnership with our ally, the United States, while at the same time stabilising our relationship with Beijing.
So what is Mark McGowan doing at that very same time in China, sending surrender signals, a little surrender monkey, surrender signals to the Chinese dictator? Oh, we're friends, we shouldn't even talk about fighting. Please give us your money. Now, I think the Foreign Minister's got to step in here. Got to tell McGowan, you know, pull your head in. You're just the Premier. Stop freelancing on our foreign policy. Stop feeding that dictatorship the dangerous line that maybe Australia won't even stand in its way. Go ahead. Maybe it shouldn't. Whatever. Have you ever seen a Premier acting so recklessly with a dangerous and hostile power? A Premier so totally out of his depth?